What's going on? This is Michael, Love and Freedom. Hey, today I'm back with another video. Someone had asked me a while back about what are the procedures or how would they know what line to get in to cross back into the United States while visiting Mexico. And I'm going to bring you a real quick video just to show you how easy and how swift the procedure is as far as what line to get into if you're going to cross back into United States while visiting San Luis, Rio Colorado, Sonora, Mexico.
You see me here, you see me there. Been overseas, been through the air. Traveling around the world, that's how I roll.
And this is adjacent to across the border to San Luis, Arizona, which is about 25 miles south of Yuma, Arizona. Just in case those who don't know where San Luis, Arizona is, I'm sure a lot of people know where Yuma, Arizona is. So I always tell them 25 miles south of Yuma, Arizona. All right. Now, what I'm going to show you is just a quick video or a quick picture of the border line in San Luis. This is not current. It may be a while back, or it may be just recent video that I post up here. The line is not like this always. Depending on the time of the year you come across the border and get back into the line, depending on the time you're crossing back into the United States. Now, the line that you see on your far right, looking at the screen, on your far right, or if you're in the line, you'll be in your right hand lane. Your right hand lane is what they call the ready lane. And what they mean about that is the ready lane is basically for people such as people in Mexico. They may have a visa or passport or something of that matter, or come from another country with a passport or something of that matter, or visa. Also, if you have a passport or passport card, excuse me, or any government scannable document that has a chip that can be scanned, that lane is actually considered a ready lane. And that lane actually is probably is the fastest lane at this point, at this current time, is considered the fastest lane because they have multiple lanes open. They can have anywhere from 2 to 5 or 6 lanes open at any given time versus the lane I'm going to tell you about next which is the general lane. That is your lane to your left, which is considered the middle lane. And the reason why I said the middle lane, I'll tell you that here in a minute. It's the center of 3 lanes going back into the United States, leaving San Luis, Rio Colorado, Sonora, Mexico. The general lane is for people who may have just a driver license or government ID and their birth certificate or something other that can prove their citizenship. Because what they do is this prolong the officer at the port of entry of getting you through the border, expediting you a little quicker, because they have to take your documents, enter the information to the system if you're not already in the system, and verify it. Let me tell you again, this general lane is a lot slower than your other lanes. Because if you haven't crossed the border recently or periodically you haven't crossed or you never cross, they have to match that information up into the system and verify that is correct. Not like if you was in the ready lane I was telling you about, where you have a scannable document, and when you go up to the pole there to go into the next officers that's available, you hold it up, it's automatically scan your chip and give them all the information there in front of them on the computer screen. So once you get there, they already know who you are. They would already know information about you. And let's not forget, the people that I tell every time If you absconded from the law, you're wanted, you have violations or warrants or anything of that matter. When you come across that border and they scan that and you're in that database, NCIC, and you're in there,
Book 'em, Dano.
you're going to get popped. They're going to definitely pull you over to secondary, hold you there until the local authority come and pick you up. Plain and simple. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but just giving you true facts. That ready lane is for scannable documents. So you can be at the ready when you come across. The middle lane, once I mentioned it earlier, the general lane, that is a lane for someone who may have kids or don't have a passport and they have their birth certificate, government ID, and they just want to prove their citizenship. They are a citizen of the U.S. to cross back into the country legally. Now, the last and final lane that's in San Luis, Recall Sonora, Mexico, is all the way to your left from the previous two lanes, and that is called a Century Lane. That Century Lane is more of an expedite procedure crossing the border, and that gives you priority to cross into the United States. Normally, it's the fastest lane. There have been times where it's pretty much same as the ready lane. There have been a few incidents where they had to check the Century people just like they did the other ready lane and the general lane, because people think they're a little smarter than the government by still trying to do illegal things and cross the border by getting their Century card and thinking they can just wave them through. But it don't work that way no more. So the Century Lane is a process where you pay. Century Lane is registered when you apply for Century. It's going to be for that vehicle, and each person that applies for Century for that vehicle has to do it separately. You have to apply, put all your information there separately for Century, and you're going to assign your Century to that vehicle. Now, if you're going to walk across with Century, that's different. You also call front of the line. But if you're going to cross in a vehicle, you have to, with Century, even if you have Century and it's for another vehicle or walking cross, you cannot cross in that vehicle in the Century lane unless you are assigned to that vehicle under the Century. So don't get in a vehicle with someone that has Century and you think that you can cross with them just because you have Century. It has to be registered to that vehicle. And I would tell everybody, just to be safe, if I was riding with someone and I wasn't sure of them, or I don't know who they are, I don't know much about them, there's no possible way I will put them in my vehicle to drive across the border. Point blank, plain and simple. Your best out, if you're giving someone a ride, tell them to walk across the border and you'll pick them up on the other side. That is the most safest and the most realistic, most smartest thing you could do. Take it from me. I'm giving you true facts, giving you game. So once again, we got the right lane, which is your ready lane. That's for people that have a chip passport, some type of government document that has a chip in it where they can scan it when they get up there to the lane, and all the information pop up for the officer to read it, have it already on hand. That's why they call it a ready lane, at the ready. The middle lane is the general lane. That's for people who don't have passports and they may have birth certificate and other documents that prove that they are a citizen of the U.S. And then you have your Century lane, which is a fee you have to pay to register your vehicle or get the expediting services to cross the border. Now, once again, the Central lane is not always the fastest lane, but it is the fastest lane if you understand what I'm saying. So I just had to put out this little quick video someone asked me to do because they didn't know if they came to Mexico and San Luis, what lane would they get in to go back into the United States. And there it is, cut and dry. If you got a scannable document, get in the ready lane. If you have just birth certificate and ID or driver license, so that matter, you don't have a passport, stay in the center lane. Far left lane is for the ready, for the Century people that has Century cards. They know who they are. If you apply for Century, you got Century, you know who you are. So Always be at the ready when you get to the line. It can help expedite you, answer your questions that the officer asks you, even though they repetitive, they get become tedious. Answer them polite, courtesy. If you ain't with them, they'll make your day more longer than what it is. They will put you in secondary and keep you there as long as they can. So there it is in a nutshell. The lanes that you get into when you cross it back into the United States coming from Mexico. I appreciate you guys watching as always. And to the next one. Bye now. Peace. One love.
So don't be wasting my time, listen. If I failed, at least I tried, listen. Love and freedom is what I do.